Discover the shocking truth, this hidden wound will haunt you forever. Unlock healing now. The town of Willow Creek had a secret, one that twisted into its very fabric like a strand of dark thread through a quilt. On the surface, it seemed like any other sleepy little place. Kids rode bikes, neighbors waved as they passed, and the sun dipped sugar-sweet below the horizon every evening. But beneath that facade lay a truth so chilling it sent shivers coursing through the bravest of souls. Whispers spoke of a wound, a scar born from the supernatural that marred the land and its people, a mark that no amount of time could heal. That night, as the moon hung high and heavy, bathing the streets in an eerie silver glow, something sinister stirred. In every darkened corner and alley, shadows shifted, as if alive, stretching and recoiling from the stifling silence. It was said that those who ventured too close to the old mill found themselves visited by figures from the past, ghostly reminders of those who had disappeared without a trace. The air, thick with tension, crackled like static, sending a message that curiosity could lead to dire consequences. Just outside the mill, a group of teenagers, Lila, Jake, and Sam, hovered nervously, their voices barely above whispers. They heard the stories. Lila shivered, glancing at her friends as a sudden breeze swept through, rustling the leaves like secrets being shared between unseen entities. Sam, with his bravado barely contained, dared to step forward, emboldened by the flickering flashlight he clutched. "It's just an old building. There's nothing creepy about it," he argued, though his voice wavered like a frightened child. But as they approached, the hairs on the back of Lila's neck stood on end, the mill loomed larger, darker, a gaping mouth ready to swallow them whole. The local legend spoke of an ancient curse, a tragic accident that had taken place within those very walls decades ago. They said the spirits of the lost souls roamed the night, trapped in an endless search for justice. With every step closer, the air grew colder, suffocating, laced with the scent of rust and decay, making Lila's heart race, her chest tightening like a vice. She hesitated for a moment, a lump forming in her throat as the mill creaked ominously. Then, like a marionette on strings, Sam pushed through the door, the creak echoing like the tolling of a funeral bell. "Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect." As they stepped inside, the air turned heavy, dense with expectation. The faint glow of their flashlight flickered, illuminating the dust particles dancing in the silence, creating a surreal atmosphere like wandering into a painting gone awry. Then, a low moan echoed through the darkness, chilling their blood and tightening their throats. Was it the wind or something else? Lila's heart raced as her gut twisted with fear. What if they weren't alone? In that moment, every instinct screamed to run, yet a magnetic pull tethered them to the mystery that unfolded around them. Faint whispers of memories began to seep through the cracked walls, chilling the air, leaving them breathless. "What was that?" Jake asked, his voice shaking, eyes darting, betraying the truth of his fear. The shadows flickered again, sending the trio sprawling back into the doorway as fear gripped their hearts. There it was again, the haunting sound, echoing from the depths of the mill, calling to them, begging them to uncover what lay hidden in the darkness. Could they survive discovering the truth? Or would Willow Creek's secrets consume them whole? The darkness engulfed them, thick and suffocating like heavy smoke. Lila clutched the doorframe as if it were a lifeline, her nails digging into the splintered wood. "We shouldn't be here," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the spell of the shadows dancing around them. Sam, flaring with misplaced courage, scanned the interior. "Let us see what's in there. We can't just run away." Anger and fear mingled in his eyes as he brandished the flashlight like a sword, casting beams of light that cut through the eerie gloom. Every flicker revealed forgotten machinery covered in rust, like petrified bones from some long-dead creature. "See, Mon, it's just an old mill, right? Jake's shaky voice barely masked his doubt. He took a step in, his hesitation replaced with a gnawing need to defy the unknown. As he crossed the threshold, the air turned colder still, the kind of chill that seeped into your bones and made your heart race. Then came another moan, a deep, resonant howl that made Lila jump, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. "Did you hear that?" She gasped, her mind racing through the darker tales spun in hushed tones around their town. They stood in a vast, empty space, the flashlight's beam moving uneasily across the walls, revealing faded newspaper clippings yellowed with age. Scandals, tragedies, and disappearances sprawled across the pages, names long forgotten, lives that had ended without closure. Lila's breath hitched. This was more than just a building, it felt like a tomb. As Lila leaned closer, trying to decipher the stories, Sam's playful bravado began to falter. "Maybe we should, head back." He glanced around as if the shadows had ears, suddenly desperate to escape the suffocating energy that pressed against them. Jake scoffed, eyeing Sam with disdain. "You're not scared, are you? We just got here. We need to find out what's going on." "Jake's right," Lila said, though her voice quivered. "But we need to stick together. If we're doing this, we won't leave anyone behind." Sam shot her a pleading look. "I don't like this. I have a bad feeling." Just then, a low whisper grazed against their skin, like a feather stirred by an unseen hand. "Get out!" it echoed in the air, wrapping around them like a shroud. All three froze. "Did you hear that?" Lila asked, her voice almost a squeak. The sound was unmistakably human, a desperate plea from a world long past. Compelled to investigate, Jake stepped further inside. The shadows seemed to stretch toward him, fingers of darkness reaching out, tugging at him as if the mill could sense his fear. As he moved closer to a broken window, the remaining light flickered and dimmed momentarily, causing his shadow to elongate grotesquely on the wall. A flash of movement caught Lila's eye. She turned, and her breath hitched. A silhouette stood at the far end of the room, barely illuminated by the dying light streaming through the windows. The figure stood still, a fleeting sense of recognition washing over her as if she could recall the shape from a dream. "Who is there?" Lila called out, shock flooding her voice. The figure remained silent, shrouded in darkness, a haunting reminder of the mill's gruesome history. Just as dread curled in her stomach, the figure shifted, taking a step toward them. The flashlight in Sam's hand flickered even more violently, illuminating lips that formed a whisper. Help! Could they even face the specters of the past, or were they being drawn into a trap set long ago? Questions swirled inside Lila as the weight of the revelation pressed upon her. What would they have to sacrifice to untangle the truth of Willow Creek? The mill seemed ready to devour their resolve, but there was something deeper lurking in the shadows, something that wanted to be found. Would they uncover it, or would they be just another set of lost souls woven into the fabric of the town's cursed history? A shiver swept through Lila as the figure's plea resonated in the hollow space, thick with dread. The shadows, so familiar yet foreboding, stretched like greedy fingers, twisting her thoughts into a maelstrom of fear and curiosity. "We have to help whoever that is," she urged, stepping forward, ignoring the frantic whispers in her mind screaming to retreat. "No. Lila, wait." Sam's voice sliced through the air behind her, panic setting his tone on edge. His flashlight flickered again, casting an erratic dance of light that caught the figure mid-step. She could barely make out its features, a face obscured by darkness, but the anguish emerging from it was unmistakable. "Don't you feel that?" Jake breathed, awe and terror battling in his wide eyes. It's like it needs us." "Needs us?" Sam echoed, his voice a harsh whisper as he fumbled to keep the beam steady. "We don't even know what that thing is. We can't just throw ourselves at it." But Lila's heart thudded with a troubling mix of sympathy and dread. She could see the desperation etched into the figure's stride, a hollow echo of something once vibrant. "Please, let us just find out together." Slowly, she raised her hand, an offering of hope that felt thin in the choking air. "Who are you?" she called out, her voice trembling as if not to shatter the moment. "We can help you." The figure halted, the shadows quaking around it. Time seemed to freeze, and for a heartbeat, the world felt impossibly quiet. Then came a low rumble, almost a growl, vibrating through the floor. The mill groaned as if it were alive, awakening from a slumber deep within its bones. "Get out!" came the shout, resonating with anger and desperation, startling them all. Instinctively, Lila recoiled, stumbling back into Sam, who steadied her. They like statues caught under a spell, breathless and wide-eyed. "Why do you want us to leave?" Lila asked, her heart pounding like a war drum. She could feel the heat from Jake's restless energy, a magnetic pull toward the apparition. "You don't belong here, do you?" As if in answer, a loud crash erupted from the far corner of the mill, like thunder tempered by malice. The sudden sound sent them scrambling back, flaring instincts sharpened by fear. Below the noise, they heard a shrill scream, a plea drowned in chaos. "Don't let them take me." The walls of the mill rattled, throwing dust into the air around them. Panic clawed at Lila's throat, rendering her almost paralyzed. The shadows began to coalesce, swirling in flashes of memory and sorrow, dark shapes twisting into scenes of devastation. The history of the mill wafted up like smoke. "What are they?" Jake gasped, stepping closer, drawn by a compulsion he seemed unable to resist. "Maybe they're trapped, like us trapped." Sam echoed, uncertainty quaking in his voice. "What if we make it worse?" "We have to try." Lila insisted, summoning her courage. The flashlight flickered again, barely illuminating the horror unfolding, the tortured souls of those who once toiled within these walls, lost to time. As a cold draft swept through the room, the figure before them began to phase in and out, revealing glimpses of its past, a life filled with laughter, then abruptly falling into despair, arms outstretched as if begging for an escape. Lila felt the pressure of the mill thrum through her veins and echo in her heart, shadows whispering secrets that clawed at her sanity. With a final crash, a shadow behind them exploded into a whirl of darkness, and a deep voice yelled out from the depths. "Help us, or it will consume everything." Lila's stomach churned, realizing they were crucial pieces in a game with stakes far beyond their understanding. Could they unravel the secrets buried within this cursed place before it was too late? The chilling thought seized her as the confession came tumbling forth, a betrayal centuries old, waiting to resurface. "Who are you really?" she asked, clutching Sam's arm, her voice barely rising above the tide of fear. The darkness surged raw, predatory, searching for its next victim. What price would they pay for the truth? Would it shatter them, or was there a sliver of light hidden within the veil of sorrow? Lila could only wonder as the shadows closed in, threatening to pull them into an abyss from which there may be no return. Lila felt a pulse in the air, a heartbeat that reverberated against her chest, a synchronized rhythm with the chaos swirling around them. She glanced at Sam. His eyes were wide, fear etched deeply into his features. Jake, meanwhile, edged closer to the ghostly figure, drawn as if in a trance, his attraction mingling with regret. "Jake, don't!" Lila shouted, tugging at his sleeve. But he didn't respond. He stepped forward, his breath hitching. "It's like it's calling to me," he said, his voice thin. Suddenly, a sharp gasp filled the air. Lila turned and saw the figure's face morphing as shadows clawed at the edges of its being, revealing glimpses of panic and sorrow. There was a softness to its eyes, a plea wrapped in the shroud of despair. "Help me," it whispered, a chilling echo that sent shivers down her spine. "Stand back," Sam warned, the flashlight flickering wildly again. The beam illuminated fragments of broken machinery and abandoned memories creeping through the shadows, adding to the building dread. The mill rumbled again, this time more violently. A sudden gust knocked over a stack of ancient crates, sending them tumbling like dominoes. "Get out! You must get out! They will take you too." Lila felt her heart race. "But we can't leave. We won't abandon you." She wasn't sure who she was trying to convince herself, the figure, or Sam. No, Lila. We're not equipped to handle this. Sam's hands were shaking, his voice cracking under the weight of his fear. But the urgency clawed at Lila's soul. If we don't help it, how many more will be trapped here? The shadows leapt around them, growing bolder, swirling with ferocity. A whisper swelled among the darkness, audible but disjointed, like a distant memory longing for recognition. You need to know. Lila swallowed hard. Need to know what? Suddenly, the figure lunged forward, reaching out, fingers stretching toward Lila, but its shape flickered violently, oscillating between forms, melding into and out of reality. Remember, the truth will unbury the past, it will save you. Please, tell us. Jake shouted, his voice strained as the shadows threatened to engulf him. Another crash echoed through the walls, high-pitched laughter mixing with muffled screams. They are here. It was a chorus of voices, reverberating with cruel glee. The mill seemed to close in around them, claustrophobic and alive with whispers of unending torment. What is happening? Sam shouted over the deafening noise. He scanned the walls, eyes wild with panic, desperate for an escape. Lila's gaze never left the figure. Its features twisted in anguish, tears seeming to seep from its shadowy eyes. You must find, the voice rasped, faltering for breath. The heart of the mill, it holds the key. Before Lila could respond, the air thickened. Each passing second felt like an eternity. The shadows seized the figure, pulling it backward into a whirlpool of despair. It will consume you. It cried as it faded into darkness. No. Lila yelled, lunging forward. But it was too late. Hand closing around nothingness. The last remnants of light flickered, then went out altogether, panic surged like a tidal wave, crashing over them. Lila's mind raced, grappling with the weight of what had just happened. We have to find this heart. She shouted, rallying her friends. What if we can't? Sam asked, his voice tight with fear. We have to. Jake interrupted, determination igniting within him. It's our only chance. As they started moving deeper into the mill, whispers proliferated around them. They were eerie, disjointed fragments that seeped into their minds. Betrayal, lost souls, buried secrets in that echoing darkness. Lila took a steadying breath. They would uncover the truth, or they would be consumed. Either way, there would be no turning back. With every step, she felt the weight of their task pressing down. Shadows danced along the walls, taunting, beckoning, yet shunning them all at once. They inched toward a promise of revelation, but every second felt like a bargain with fate. As they rounded the next corner, a flicker caught Lila's eye. There. A faint glow pulsed in the distance, like a beacon in the darkness. Was that the heart? Her blood ran cold. What awaited them in that light? Keep going, Sam whispered, almost to himself. Whatever is waiting for us, we're ready, she said, but doubt curled in her stomach like a coiled serpent, ready to strike. Was it true? Would the light bring salvation, or merely lead them deeper into the abyss? With a collective breath, they stepped into the unknown. What awaited them would change everything. The air buzzed with tension as Lila led the way, each step heavy with uncertainty. The flickering glow pulsed ahead, drawing them closer, yet coaxing forth an avalanche of doubt. Shadows twisted like snakes along the walls, and the whispers grew louder, rising in a twisted symphony of dread. Not all truths are meant to be uncovered. Sam shivered, clutching his flashlight like a lifeline. What if it's a trap? His eyes darted back and forth, a frantic energy compelling him to flee. It's too late to turn back now, Lila said, her heart racing with a mix of fear and determination. A ripple of resolve surged through her. There was no way they could abandon their mission, not after everything that had happened. As they moved deeper into the mill, the air thickened, oppressive and saturated with a sense of foreboding. The walls seemed to close in, pressing against them, shaking lightly as if whispering secrets of their own. They could almost make out words, chilling remnants of a lost time. betrayed, forgotten, betrayed. Lila clenched her fists, trying to latch onto the fleeting moments of courage she felt. "We're looking for the heart," she reminded them. "The key to saving all those trapped here." Jake paused, squinting into the darkness. "Do you hear that?" A muffled sound resonated through the stillness, small sobs echoing like ghosts reaching out from the shadows. The walls responded with a low groan, vibrating beneath their feet. No, Lila thought, her heart pounding harder. Not now. Suddenly, the light brightened, illuminating the corridor ahead. They approached cautiously, and Lila felt her breath hitch. Rising from the gloom stood an ancient, rusted machine, weary and worn, crowned with a faint, pulsating glow. "A heart," Jake murmured, his eyes wide. "That must be it." But as they stepped closer, the atmosphere shifted. The glow rippled violently, revealing shapes barely perceptible at the edges, figures trapped in torment. Wisps of shadow twisted around each figure, their faces etched with agony, mouths forming silent screams. Lila recoiled, bile rising in her throat. What is it?" "It's a prison," Sam whispered, his voice shaking. "They're trapped here, just like the figure we saw." The light flickered again, and somehow, she felt them all watching, pleading. "You must know," a voice echoed from the glow, breaking through the veil of despair. "Unravel the past, or be lost in the darkness." "What do we need to do?" Lila asked, desperation creeping into her voice. Just then, another wave of laughter erupted through the mill, colder and more sinister than before. "They want to help you." The voice twisted, reverberating around them. "Betrayal, it runs in the blood." Lila stumbled back, panic washing over her. "No, not like this. They know your secret." The glow pulsed again, and in that moment, images struck Lila like lightning, a past she thought was buried. Memories of family, choices, and dreadful mistakes intertwined with the sorrowful figures, revealing their stories, their pain becoming her own. "Jake, Sam!" she shouted, but her voice felt small against the encroaching terror. "We need to face this, whatever it is." But even as she said it, doubts clawed their way into her mind. What if uncovering the truth would rip them apart? What if the heart breathed the whispers of revenge? "Just breathe," Jake murmured, wrapping a reassuring arm around her. "Whatever it is, we'll face it together." "What lies behind those shadows?" Sam's voice trembled, capturing their hearts in a coil of fear. But before Lila could answer, another shattering crash echoed through the mill, rattling their resolve. The walls trembled violently, and the shadows wavered, swirling violently around them, the laughter intensifying to a deafening crescendo. "Will you let the darkness claim you?" It felt like an ultimatum, a challenge thrust upon them in the thick of chaos. Determined, Lila raised her chin and glared into the growing shadows. "No," she said firmly, breathing deeply. "We will fight." And with that vow echoing in her heart, they stepped into the radiant glow, bracing themselves for whatever truth awaited, hoping desperately that it wouldn't be the death of them all. But now, a new thought twisted through her mind. What if the heart held not just the key to their salvation but also the truth behind an unspeakable betrayal? The glow enveloped them, a cocoon of light in an abyss of despair. Lila felt Jake's fingers squeeze hers tightly, grounding her as shadows danced at the edges of their perception. A heavy silence descended, strangling her breath. She swallowed hard, unsteady but resolute. In the very center of the wretched machine, countless gears turned in a haunting rhythm, each clank resonating through their bones. The disembodied voices swirled, weaving tales of sorrow and fear, spinning threads that entwined with her slowly spiraling thoughts. The whispers of betrayal reverberated in their hearts. Wasn't that what had drawn them to this accursed place? Jake's grip tightened as the now familiar voice shattered the silence again, echoing like a cracked record. "You're closer than you think. Don't hide from what you are." "What do you mean?" Lila shouted into the void, her voice nearly swallowed by the madness around them. But, as usual, the only response was the machine groaning, its metallic body shuddering in sympathy. "It's trying to provoke you," Sam warned. He had pulled closer, eyes flicking nervously to ancient shadows that seemed alive with malice. We can't let it get to us. But it already had. Lila's chest constricted, memories flooding back, the feeling of betrayal, the family lies that twisted her childhood, the whispers she buried deep. I want to be defined by my past, she murmured, though doubt lingered like a ghost in her heart. Then, as if responding to her proclamation, the glowing center burst forth with energy. Figures materialized, suspended in the air around them. They were the trapped souls, their eyes vacant, eyes once filled with hope now hollow, reflecting her own fears. Each figure bore a striking resemblance to Lila herself, with traits of pain that gnawed at her core. Lila, a soft voice emerged, twinkling like a fragile bell. You can't forget, you have to remember, she staggered back, shaking her head. No, I can't, I want tea. But the faces around her shifted, revealing a cruel history, one stitched together by relentless betrayal. One after another, the figures pointed accusingly. You're one of us. Your betrayal tore us apart. No. Lila cried, clutching her head. I didn't choose this. I thought I had escaped. The truth will set you free, the voices coiled around her, twisting like smoke. Or it will lead you to ruin. The atmosphere grew denser as shadows closed in, a suffocating blanket of despair. Sam's breathing became heavy, panic rising as he glanced at Lila. This isn't just about your past, Lila. It goes beyond that. We have to find a way to break this cycle. Suddenly, a flash of light illuminated a path behind the ancient machine, revealing a small, darkened doorway ajar at the end of the hall. It beckoned them, an enticing allure of potential escape, yet it pulsed with a foreboding aura. Should we go through? Jake asked, his voice shaky as he shifted on his feet. We have to go. It's our only chance. Sam urged, determination igniting his eyes. The shadows thrashed violently, despair morphing into rage. Do not listen. Betrayal awaits you if you step through. The voices screamed as if desperate to keep them tethered. For a heartbeat, the air stilled, and Lila's heart raced faster. The door shimmered, offering a glimpse of clarity. But that clarity came with a price, a revelation that could shatter everything she understood about her family and herself. Taking a deep breath, Lila focused on the door. We have to face it. We can't let fear win. Together, they pressed forward, hands interlinked, facing the unknown. With every step towards the doorway, the laughter faded into silence, but the weight of betrayal loomed like an ominous storm ready to unleash its fury. They paused, feeling the energy shift around them, shadows swirling in anticipation. Just as they were about to cross the threshold, a chilling voice echoed through the mill once more, cutting through the air with a devilish delight. Do you really believe you can outrun what's buried deep within? And in that moment, Lila felt the walls close in once again, the burden of the truth threatening to collapse upon them. One question lingered, pierced through the chaos. What if the heart wasn't just a key, but a trap set to unleash all their darkest secrets? The moment they stepped through the doorway, the world shifted. The glow around them evaporated, replaced by a stark, oppressive darkness. Lila felt her heart hammering in her chest, the steady rhythm overwhelmed by the chaotic chorus of voices echoing around them. Each footfall felt like a march towards inevitable doom, yet a sliver of hope flickered within, urging her to press onward. They emerged into a vast chamber, the air thick and stale, clinging to their skin like cobwebs. The walls, rough and angular, seemed to pulse with their very breaths. In the center lay a deep pit, swirling with shadows that writhed like snakes. The pit's edges glimmered faintly, revealing jagged remnants of shattered dreams and broken memories scattered like fallen stars. This wasn't just any place, it was a graveyard for the past. What is this? Jake whispered, voice shaking, eyes wide as he scanned the space. This is where the truth lies, Sam replied slowly, his gaze locked onto the pit. We have to confront what we've buried. Are we ready for that? Lila asked, her throat tight. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, but the words of the disembodied voice floated in her mind. You're closer than you think. Don't hide from what you are. It's the only way, Jake said, determination settling in his features. We can't keep running. Lila stepped toward the pit, each movement almost instinctual, as if something deep inside her recognized this dread-filled chamber. Shadows flared, and fleeting images flickered above the swirling darkness. Unfathomable faces, unshed tears, family gatherings turned sour. Each glimpse sent tremors through her soul. There! Sam shouted, pointing to a face that emerged momentarily above the shadows. It was her mother, eyes wide with pain, mouth moved soundlessly as if trying to scream. The image dissolved into the void, leaving Lila gasping. Mom! The words slipped from her lips like a prayer. What have I done? As she stared into the depths, she felt the pull of unresolved guilt, of unhealed wounds festering inside her. The weight of her choices loomed large, morphing from shadows into tangible hands that tugged at her heart. Lila, what do you see? Jake's voice was barely above a whisper, heavy with concern. I don't know, she murmured, tears threatening to spill. I wish I could just forget. No. Sam interjected fiercely. To heal, you have to remember. Face it, Lila. Suddenly, the pit erupted with light, a blinding brilliance that consumed everything. Lila shielded her eyes, heart racing, as she felt every fiber of her being resonating with the weight of those shadows. The disembodied voices crescendoed into a cacophony, blending sorrow and rage as they screamed the truth she'd long buried. In that blinding moment, she saw it all: the betrayals both dealt and endured. The fractured family ties, the unspoken words left to rot. It wasn't just her past, it was a tapestry woven from countless lives and heartaches, each thread leading back to her. Clenching her fists, Lila took a deep breath, understanding blooming in her chest. I can't change the past, she cried out, voice ringing clear through the chaos. But I won't let it chain me anymore. I will break this cycle. And just like that, the light fractured, and the shadows recoiled as if stung. But beneath it, deeper still, an echo remained, an echo of fear, of a truth she had yet to uncover. What happens now? Asked Jake, his voice shaking with urgency. Lila felt cold fear wrapping around her heart, realization dawning like a chilling fog. I think we have to go deeper. As they peered into the pit, the distant echo of familiar laughter crept back, tauntingly sweet yet haunting. Lila's resolve ignited, but with it came the nagging dread of what else lay hidden beneath the surface. The abyss beckoned, its secrets shimmering just out of reach. What awaited them below? Would it be liberating or the final nail in the coffin of their ambitions? The moment of truth was closing in, and the deeper they plunged, the more perilous their journey became. With a deep breath, Lila stepped closer to the edge of the pit. The swirling shadows below seemed to shift with anticipation, almost as if they could sense her fear. We can do this, she whispered to herself, trying to summon the courage swirling inside her chest. Jake moved beside her, his presence a bulwark against the oppressive darkness. What if it's worse than we think? He breathed, anxiety tightening the corners of his mouth. We can't know until we try, Sam said, edging toward the pit, determination etched into every line of his face. The past is haunting us, but facing it is the only way to break free. With each word, the shadows seemed to pulse, almost synchronizing with their heartbeats. They were caught in a dance of dread and hope. Then, out of the shadows burst a memory, a scene playing out like a gory theater performance. It was Lila's childhood home, vibrant and alive, with her mother laughing in the kitchen, sunlight streaming through the windows. But it didn't take long for the sweetness to rot, morphing into a darker tableau where screams echoed and laughter turned into sobs. Lila instinctively jerked back, but Sam held her steady. You have to look. You have to remember. He urged, gripping her shoulder. With a shaky inhale, she forced herself to focus. I can't do this. Tears spilled down her cheeks, mixing with the choking heaviness of the air, but the vision intensified, glimmering like an old film reel. Her father's face twisted in anger, the weight of unspoken words pressing down like a storm cloud. The air crackled with tension. You think you can just run away? He shouted, voice harsh and unforgiving. You think this doesn't affect us? Stop it. Lila cried out, feeling the memories slice through her like knives. Stop it. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. Yet the projection didn't halt. It played on, forcing her to relive every fracture and fault line, each miscommunication, each moment where she held back the truth. Jake's eyes locked onto hers, wide with concern. Lila, don't let it swallow you whole. You have to rise above this. He urged, but doubt shadowed his voice. Just then, as if sensing their turmoil, the pit roared with resentment. The shadows darkened, swirling more violently. Lila stumbled, the energy threatening to pull her in. No. We're not going back. She shouted, a fierce defiance blossoming within her. Not today. And as if responding to her conviction, the shadows shifted, yielding slightly. A new image broke through, clearer and brighter. Lila saw herself, older and braver, standing strong amidst a storm of doubt. She was not just a victim of her past, she was the architect of her own future. Fight for it. Sam yelled, voice rising above the din of chaos. You can change the narrative. Summoning every ounce of strength, Lila stepped forward. The pit trembled beneath her as she willed the shadows to fade. I am not what you made of me. She cried, her voice both a sword and a shield. Suddenly, the energy shifted again. A single thread of light shot up from the depths, illuminating the shadows that clung to her. It felt like a lifeline, a promise of hope shining in the darkest moments. As the light enveloped her, she gasped, the ache of the past dimming just enough for her to breathe. But something flickered at the edge of her vision, a dark figure hovering beyond the light, its intent unseen. What is that? Jake asked, backing away, his brow in knots of fear. Lila squinted, trying to discern the shape. I don't know, but I feel like it knows me. Tension soared. The light was strong, but the shadows churned violently, framing the formless figure. Could it be the very essence of her fears, poised to unleash one last attack? Stay close, Lila said, breathless. We can't let it pull us under. Fueled by newfound resolve, they braced themselves, ready to uncover the truth that lay beyond the flickering light and the encroaching shadows. But would facing this darker figure be the key to their liberation, or would it unravel everything they had fought to build? The abyss loomed once again, its depths whispering secrets that could either save them or tear them apart forever. What awaited them on the precipice of light and shadow? The moment was drawing near, and with it, the chilling knowledge that some truths demand a price, and some shadows will always seek the light. With the flicker of light casting a shield around her, Lila felt a surge of certainty coursing through her veins. She was standing on the cliff of her own mind, peering into depths that held untold horrors. The dark figure lingered like a storm cloud ready to burst, a lingering threat that made her heart race. What is it? Jake whispered, his voice strained, betraying the fear he tried hard to hide. I think it's my past, she mumbled. It knows my name. Panic flooded her again, blending with the rage swirling inside. The shadows thrashed, as if responding to her truth. Focus on the light, Sam urged, not taking his eyes off the specter in the darkness. That's where you find your strength. The urge to retreat screamed in her mind, but she pushed back against it. Instead, she leaned into the brightness that threatened to banish the shadows. I want to let you control me. She shouted, willing her voice to echo with defiance. The dark shape shifted, a swirling mass of anguish and regret. It writhed as if it were alive, feeding off Lila's fear. There was a face in there, she could feel it. A memory so distant yet so frighteningly close. Show me, she demanded, her heart pounding, each beat bringing a mixture of dread and determination. Suddenly, the figure morphed into a reflection of her, a younger, terrified version. She was standing in the middle of the room, shaking and silent, desperately trying to block out the chaos surrounding her. The screams grew louder, drowning out the laughter of her childhood. No, Lila whispered, her heart clenching. What is it? Jake demanded, panic escalating in his voice. The little girl that asked me. The tears flowed freely now, each drop a purging. She remembered feeling invincible one moment, then shattering under the weight of disapproval and anger the next. I didn't think I thought I could be enough. Lila, listen to me, Sam intoned, steadiness threading through his voice. You are enough. Stop drowning in her fear. But the girl in the shadows wailed louder, you're worthless. You'll never escape this. Her words cut deeper than any physical blade. No. That's not true. Lila yelled. I've made mistakes, but they don't define me. The shadows twisted violently around her as if trying to banish this new truth. But the light pulsed with strength, igniting something fierce within Lila. She reached out to the dark version of herself, fighting against the tide of doubt. I refuse to be your prisoner. It felt like a battle. The light pulsed brighter as Lila drew from the energy around her, channeling it towards her younger self. You are brave. You are loved. You are more than this pain. The dark girl hesitated, her fierce accusation faltering as confusion flickered across her features. The shadows hesitated along with her, and for a moment, the tension shifted. Lila, keep pushing. You can break through. Jake urged, his voice vibrant with hope. The girl hesitated, and for the first time, the darkness receded just a bit. Lila pressed forward, heart racing. You don't have to carry this anymore, she said, each word like a hammer striking a nail into the constraints of their shared past, but suddenly, the dark figure screeched, and in that moment of weakness, fangs of shadow lashed out, attempting to reclaim its hold. A spear of darkness shot toward Lila, the air turning electric with danger. Get down! Sam shouted, but it was too late. The shadows consumed her in a wave, dragging her back into the depths with a ferocity that stole her breath. Breathless and panicked, Lila kicked against the tide, fighting with every ounce of resolve she had. Don't let go. Jake's voice cut through the thunderous chaos. But the howl of sorrow echoed in her ears, and for a fleeting second, helplessness bitterly settled in her chest. Lila willed herself to hang on, knowing that her destiny and everyone else's was about to collide with the terror lurking beyond the veil. Fight through it. She screamed, heart surging with raw desire as she wrestled against the consuming darkness, but would she find the truth she sought, or would she lose herself entirely? The pit trembled ominously, and the dark figure loomed larger. A confrontation was on the horizon, and in that moment, Lila realized, some wounds could tear open far deeper than expected, revealing a truth she hadn't bargained for. How much would she need to sacrifice to find herself again? As Lila fought against the turbulent shadows, her heart raced, knowing the stakes had never been higher. The darkness twisted around her, a swirling storm of anguish and confusion. Just when it felt like the shadows would swallow her whole, a flicker of light pierced the suffocating fog, a beacon of hope amidst the despair. Remember who you are. Jake's voice broke through the cacophony, cutting through the haze like a lighthouse in a storm. Lila's breath hitched, and she focused on the glow, feeling her strength rekindle. She could not let the darkness claim her, not now. I am not afraid. I will not be broken. Lila shouted, the words bursting forth like a dam breaking. Those words reverberated through her, igniting defiance. She concentrated on the image of her younger self, the terrified girl still trapped within the shadows. I see you, she said softly, allowing understanding to wash over her. You are strong. You just forgot. For a moment, the dark figure stilled, confronting the truth she had finally shared. There was flickering recognition in its eyes, a hesitant acceptance as the edges began to soften. Lila could feel the shadows recoiling, the dark voice that had haunted her growing fainter. You don't have to be afraid anymore. She pressed on, fueled by the understanding that pain does not dictate identity. I can break the cycle, Lila affirmed, stepping toward her dark reflection. I will face the truth, my truth. I refuse to let it trap us any longer. The shadows shivered, stirring with a mix of rage and uncertainty. No. The dark version screamed, but Lila stood her ground. The light pulsed behind her, fierce and unwavering. You are a part of me, but you do not own me. I am more than pain, I am love, I am hope. We can escape this together. As those affirmations spilled from her heart, the shadowy figure hesitated. Slowly, it began to morph, the darkness ebbing away as it drew closer to Lila, merging into her essence. Darkness dissolved into energy, swirling endlessly, forging a new bond. I see you. I forgive you, Lila whispered, tears glistening in her eyes. With her final shred of determination, Lila lunged forward, embracing the remnants of her former self in a cascade of light. A brilliant burst erupted, sweeping away the lingering darkness. The shadows screamed, dissipating like mist in the morning sun. For the first time, Lila felt an unburdening layers of pain releasing their grip, the sound of silence settled like a tender embrace. Lila blinked, the weight now gone as though she had shed a heavy cloak. The darkness in the chamber dissolved, embraced within the glimmers of clarity and acceptance. Jake and Sam approached her, awe etched onto their faces. You did it! Jake exclaimed, eyes wide with disbelief. Together, Lila replied, her breath steadying. We faced the darkness together. But as they caught their breath, Lila's heart raced again. A distant, haunting echo reverberated through the remnants of the mill, an urge, a calling from depths unknown. No more secrets. We have to help them, she breathed, as the last of the shadows dripped away like morning dew on grass. They emerged from the darkness, clutching hands tightly as they ascended. The haunting specters of the trapped souls rose, now transformed into shimmering lights of another world. They swirled around, whispering gratitude, finally freed from the bindings of the past. You've uncovered the truth, they murmured, their voices entwined in harmony. And in doing so, you've set us free. Lila felt the energy of connection surge through her, igniting new purpose. We need to protect this town from being haunted by the past. We must share what we've learned, Lila said, turning to Jake and Sam. Yes. They responded in unison, their resolve unshakable. The trio stepped outside the mill, where daylight poured in like a cleansing tide, turning the yard into a canvas drenched in sunlight. The air felt new and fresh, the promises of tomorrow lifting their spirits in that instant. Amidst laughter and joyous whispers, Lila soaked in the vibrant scenery of Willow Creek, grateful for a second chance, for the love of her friends who stood beside her. The scars they had carried were no longer burdens, they had become symbols of growth, resilience, and possibility. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Lila knew they stood at a threshold, a new chapter awaiting them, filled with the potential of healing and understanding. Together, they walked forward, hearts entwined with hope, knowing they would never face the shadows alone again. Now listen up. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories coming your way. This is the moment to show your support and smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful ending. True fans know how important it is to support the channel through these actions. Let us keep the storytelling alive.